This looks like an idyllic spot in Shibden Valley. And apart from having a Himalayan balsam problem, and a very serious one, there are actually indications of this being more of an industrial landscape. In fact, there's a bit of a mine over there. We'll have a look at that in a minute. This, by the way, is Indian balsam, and there is a lot of it. And there looks to be a lot here. There's over there. There's even smaller plants, and they're just packed together. And this gets to 6 foot and covers everything. It's only an annual, but it just whacks everything out. I've had it in my garden. It took me 3 years to get rid. You see that wall there, and this dropped area here goes all the way over there. This is marked on the map. You can actually see this on an Ordnance Survey map, and it appears to be for water management, to alter the course of the Beck that's just over there. You can see part of the wall at the base of that tree that's resting on it. It's been on that for quite a while. In fact, and you can see just beyond that, and I'll try and zoom in, another piece of wall. It's not so easy for me to see that, so I might get a bit closer, but you can see that bit there. See the other dip there, and the wall just beyond this tree, coming right round here. Like I say, this is on an Ordnance Survey map, and it appears to be some sort of attempt to control this water, make a reservoir, limit the amount of water. Whether that's to do with the mine that's just over there, or whether this is something to do with the brewery on the hill, is another matter, because of course the brewery wants water. And up on the hill, at some point we'll have a look at a pumping engine, or what's left of the building that housed the pumping engine, which is probably for pumping water up to the brewery. Okay, yesterday, I think I said it was a base of a tree, but it's actually a branch of a tree. I said you could see this wall. Well, you could just about see this bit of wall here, as you can see, sitting there. I presume it's, people do build stuff down here, but I presume it's something original. Anyway, the other part of the wall I said you could see, I noticed on the video you couldn't see, and of course the battery died yesterday, so I couldn't, couldn't really get correct. I wanted to know anyway, but I couldn't correct it. But since I've come back, you can see it there, look. Now that definitely is something that's been built, and people don't build stuff, walls or anything else, for nothing. There's a bit of old pottery down there from a large vessel. So whether that's been dumped here from a farm, somebody carrying down, or whether that's from the industrial work that was going on here, that's another matter. Definitely. Oh, there's a little creature on it. I'll put it back in a minute. Yeah, it's definitely got a curve for a very large pot. Probably like a big jug thing. I have in my house something that's not necessarily one of those, but something of a similar size. So we might look at that as what that could have been. And I'll put it back. I'll leave it there for whatever creature will live in that. I've got a little shrimp. There's actually much life in this. There's no fish in this Beck.
The fragment may once have been part of something like this. This particular vessel was used by my great-grandmother for storing bread.
There's a gateway there, but you won't want to come out a lot when you come to enter that path. It's a rather deep drop down into there, where all this ground is eroding. So we're going to keep a little bit back. It might look like I'm on the edge, but I'm not that close. So that doesn't mean, in fact, there's a big concrete pipe, and you can see just another one just a bit there. For some sort of, they're obviously more modern than the mine, so they could have something to do with the sewage farm that was once just up above there, long gone now. That's it, yeah, there's plenty of erosion here. Okay. So there's some small yellow flowers here, I don't know if you can see those, and some not so nice nettles. I have to look at nettle and I get nettled, although I've managed to get past them. There's a wall over here. It looks suspiciously to me like this has been something. I mean, it's holding the ground back, but this bit here, I don't know. I mean, obviously I could be wrong, but compared to the rest of the wall there, it could just be a repair. But you know, there's an outlet there in the just trying to shelter it. Yeah, there, an outlet there. It's like a long pipe leading probably back to the sewage farm. I can smell the wild garlic. Yeah, we were discussing buildings and things down here before, and unfortunately the battery died. But that looks very much like some sort of construction. Now, what belongs to the mine and what might belong to the sewage farm? There is a building up there. Hang on, I'll try to zoom in. But it's a new built building. The old building did survive for a while, but then was demolished. So I don't know. They just left it on the site, and we're back. So we're back here. It's not as sunny today. We are back here again. So hopefully the camera might last a little bit longer this time. Yeah, looks like somebody's built themselves a little camp. Don't know whether the tyres give the stones springiness when you sit on them. They've got backrests on some of them. But I don't know whether the stone is any more comfortable if it's put on a tyre and it's got spring. I mean, they've even got themselves a shovel. No handle. And a litter bin. Would you believe they even managed to get a litter bin? Although I'm not too sure whether much of the litter's in it. But anyway, the point we come down here for was not actually to look at the litter bin or the rather creative camp there. It was actually to come down here and put a correction in. They're not concrete. They are more like pottery pipes, as you can see. I said yesterday they were concrete. Well, this one definitely appears to be coming from the former sewage works, whether it's just drainage or at least in that direction. The others, now they are of a similar kind. I presume, since we've seen a pipe up there, that this is the one we zoomed in on yesterday. I presume they could well be put in for the mine. They could be, but they are of the same kind we've just looked at over there if we get closer. I'm watching where I'm going, so if this camera's waving and not looking at the stuff, that's probably why. I think you'll agree, it's more important I'm looking where I'm going than where the camera's pointing. I'm trying to check in between to make sure, so some jerky movements are going to be that's what's going to be a case of. I'm not wearing Wellingtons or boots, so it might not be right. Okay, so there's the pipes there, and they are made of some sort of pottery stuff. We go over here, as my brother pointed out, you can see some below the surface of the water there. However, the hole over there doesn't have any in it. So if these were to help this water bypass there, which could be the case, it looks like it failed and it's begun to erode the ground. We're now down below the erosion. I don't want to get too close to that because no more than I want to fall down. I don't want to be buried either. The other side of this, well, it is on the other side. It's like a big circular bit. It changes frequently. Sometimes the water's going down one way and then it's going down another. It's not somewhere I like to get close to, but we might go look at that if the video, or battery should I say, lasts. So yes, so correction, they're not concrete, they are some sort of ceramic, would you say? Pottery? Anyway, whatever the term is, you know, you can always correct me. They're not concrete, that's certain. And here is what I believe is a mine. It's marked on the map as a mine. It probably belonged to the Stocks family. You can see something that's been fenced off there. There are several areas around that are fenced off that are obviously dangerous. This is some part of it. I don't suppose it's dangerous. Dare we go into it? No. Not without great care. Hang on. Right. So now we're down in it. There's a pumping engine up there somewhere. The sewage works will be over there. Okay, we're back in down here. This is where the battery ran out. I'm trying to stand on the Indian balsam, whatever, rather than the actual plants that are down here, but quite a lot of this is unfortunately Indian balsam. Anyway, it was a calculated risk coming down here because obviously I've been in this dip a long time ago, many years ago when I was a lot younger. So, and there was, well, obviously it didn't go through then, and it didn't go through the last time I came down here. So I think we're okay. I'm aiming for where the dead leaves are as well, and try not to crush all the plants that are down here. But yeah, anyway, there's definitely a wall there. So whether this is actually the pit head for this mine, which I believe it's a mine, or whether this is something else, I don't know. I mean, if there's somebody who's an expert on mines, and I do not pretend to be an expert on mines. Some of my relatives worked in mines. One was some sort of not steward, what do you call it? Anyway, not quite that high up, but like an overseer, shall we say, just for the sake of it, until it comes back to me, in a mine in South Aram. So, and he knew about mines. It's a shame he died way before I was born. He probably could have just taken this to him, and my maternal granddad. No, my mother's dad. It's a shame because he probably could have answered that question. He had quite a thing for mines. He went to Cornwall to look at mines, the mine head things or whatever, you know, that they have down there. So yeah, we're down in a very big hollow. It's definitely something. It's marked on the map, I believe, as a mine. So we'll get out of this hole just in case it does decide, and we'll look at the bit that's fenced off because that might be interesting ish. Right, now we're up out of the hole. I don't know whether there's a corner piece nailed in there before and it's just eroded away, or whether they just made a square thing. I think they just made a square. Anyway, there's a big piece of stone here. It's got a big, very careful, a big metal bit. Now, whether they brought this stone to cap this, or whether this was already here, which is a good chance, I think it was already here, but I don't know that. I don't know, but anyway, you can see all the Indian balsam on top of it. Down in it, it appears to be, and I better take better hold of my phone. I'd rather get my finger in it. Anyway, there's these ferns. For the moment, I can't think of the name of these ferns. Hearts thing. Anyway, I know I've heard the name. I can't think. Anyway, it looks to me. I don't know whether you can actually see, because of all the bits of plant that are getting in the web. It's circular. It looks like a well. So well, you have to have water, I suppose. Mind you, it might not be a well for water, it might be for some other purpose, I don't know. Again, if somebody's an expert on mines, you know, there's always something to go. No one person can know everything, so I'm more than happy to be corrected or be instructed, whatever you want to call it. You know, as long as it's not nasty, you know. I mean, I don't know. I don't profess to know exactly. I know it's supposed to be a mine. It probably belonged to the Stocksers now. Their land, well, is all of this. Before this sewage farm was built, they owned this. They owned the house on top. They owned a lot of this land. They owned this bit here and the brewery, and they were into mining, quarrying, brewing, all sorts of things. So a good chance that this, if it didn't start out as one of theirs, was probably one of theirs. But I mean, in this close proximity to there, I suspect it was. They owned most of the coal, or the ungotten coal, under North Aram at one point. So. Okay, I've noticed lots of what looks like slaty type Sorry, not even looking at it. Slaty type rock. Could be, I suppose it could be sandstone. Now, whether this is from something else or whether it is, won't move it too far because I'm not using it as a home. Whether this is from deep down, whether this is from mining, or whether this is just something else that's been dumped down here. I think we need somebody who knows something about rock. There's some worms under there, so I'll put this back down. I won't move it. It's acting as a home for something. There's plenty of it about. Now, it could be from somewhere else. It could be from activity deep down. I mean, they were mining for something. So, and they were probably bringing up spoil, which must have gone somewhere. Which, actually, this is very, very flat. Obviously for working on, and it's easily eroded. I wonder how much of this, given the slope there, actually in the wall. I think actually, I don't have to look far for the spoil. I think I may well be stood on the spoil, which might be why it's eroding away. It is, you know, I mean, apart from being levelled up to work on, it is unnaturally flat, and we've just seen it's deep down there. And there's a slope, and there's a slope on the other side, but we've got a big flat bit in between, so I think I'm surprised if we're not actually standing on the spoil heap, or rather the flattened spoil heap to make like a yard for working. And there's where we were before. There's wind blowing in my direction, so you might be able to hear that. I'm trying to protect the speaker. Oh, yep, so this is a very big flat large area with a very big hole. That is a mine. So we presume, and we're going round in a circle here, that the water management over there is to go ahead and is something to do with this project over here. Maybe it wasn't quite as split in the middle with a big beck. Maybe that's why they were controlling it. Maybe they were even redirecting it and it's broke out and it's just eroded through this space, because there are tracks and roads up there going back up into the up the valley to the top, which you would need to cross to get back, or I'm sure there's other roads and trackways that long since gone, but there's certainly one up there which you come down and then it goes back across the top up there and then back up on Bear Red Lane and or down into Simcar there. So right, now we're at the other side of the hole, or we will, behind me. If this is spoil, then that could explain why it's dug such a deep trench. Not that it can't, obviously water digs deep trenches anyway before, yeah, I'm going to say before anybody says, well, just, anyway, forget that, it does carve deeply. But it would be easier if it is loose spoil, and there are more fragments of this rock. There's quite a big bit there. In fact, I'm not too sure what I'm stood on is actually some, so I don't know what kind of rock it is. It doesn't look like sandstone. It's quite smooth. Fractures. So I don't know about what that is. Somebody might be an expert on rocks. They might be able to tell just by looking at that what it is. But there's a piece over here that has sidewoods on. Just give a second. There we go. It seems to have some sort of lines on it. Like fracture lines. Maybe it's not much use for anything. I don't know. So here's the other side. You can see this giant semicircular erosion here, and I'm sure it must get worse year on year on year on year on year, but you can see the plants are growing. Sometimes it goes down that hole there, and sometimes it goes down, oh gosh, this hole here. It's not somewhere I really like to get too close to. I'm stood on a solid rock as it is, so I'm not getting any closer than this. I am here, as it happens in this case, by myself rather than with somebody, so I don't want to take too much of a risk. Not that I would want to do. I don't think there's anything to achieve by going down there anyway, so yeah. So that's where the water that we're looking at, where the pipes start. There. And there's obviously water leaking from somewhere above, because I can see it running down. I don't know whether you can. I know it's steady. You might be able to see some of that dripping. So there's probably a spring somewhere. All water seeping out down there. Yeah. But, we'll get back across the other side of this now. I was about to cross this water, and I notice that there are bricks in there. Down there's a brick there. There's one just below the water. Below the water surface there, and I'm not too sure if that isn't another one there. And they don't look like modern bricks, so I wonder if they're from something that was from this mine as well. It is possible. It's also possible they can have come from anywhere. I mean, that mine hasn't worked. I think even on the map it's marked as more or less shut, or whatever they mark them as. So it's had a long time for stuff to be moved around, brought down, dumped. I mean, centuries. Who knows? Somebody could have brought something like they do these days and dumped them. I mean, there is a tyre in the bank right there. There we go. And it's buried, but it certainly doesn't go back that far, so it's probably been deposited there and then muck deposited. As far as I know, this has roughly followed this course for a while, as long as I've known. This bit might have got wider. I have yet to cross this, but yeah. So who knows? I've just fished this out of the beck just as I was going across. I don't know if you can actually tell how well that's picking that up. Anyway, it's obviously a piece of cup. There's the part of the base there. So is this a cup from somebody who, I know we've said this before, but is that a cup from somebody who worked here, or is this a picnicker that's long since, you know, broke it and it ended up in the beck? That's a question, unfortunately, we'll never have the answer to, unless you know something about bits of white pot. But it definitely appears to be a cup to me. I would say it's a cup or a small jar, maybe. Don't know what the content. Yeah, I think that's a cup. Could be a jug, I suppose. I mean, you'd need to follow the circle round it, how big that is. It's either a very big cup or I don't know. This is another area. So we just the bit with the probable water management, as we're going to term it, is there. The mine is just beyond the bit there, and this is another bit that's very flat. That could just be that muck has deposited it here, but it could also be that it's being used for some purpose. Now, maybe it's just spoil being spread, maybe it just is flat. I mean, what you would be doing right out here, I don't know, but I mean, industry takes a lot of room. I mean, there's always the coal and the spoil and the you know, your product, wheat, stone, coal, whatever, the waste, any other sub stuff you're trying to get out there. But I don't know. I don't know what the answer to that is. But like I say, the Shibden Valley is not the empty, peaceful landscape, or wasn't, should I say, it is now. I'm not saying all this industry occurred at once, but farming, mining, quarrying, building bridges, roads, carts going up and down. I mean, I'm sure it was a lot more busy than it is now. Now it's people building little camps and fires and oh, that sort of thing. Or coming to listen to the water, maybe.
Here is the fragment of the cup we retrieved from the Shibden Brook. I have placed it near a ruler with centimetre markings. You see the damage that has occurred to it during its time in the brook. You can also see the curve of the fragment, and here it is compared to a large cup.
So here is a sample of the rock. This one had nothing living under it, and there is some black stuff on top, which may be coal. It certainly is black, and this stuff is grey. It's very straight there. I don't know whether they've been cutting this or something. Some bits of flaked off of it. I'm trying a different light source on this rock. Could be a different layer on top. It looks different. See some shininess.
In the 1850s, the mine can be seen recorded as a coal pit. It's not marked anywhere as being closed, so I was obviously thinking of a different mine, but you can see the actual water course of the brook going through the site as it does now. By the 1890s, the buildings, although not shaded on, can be seen. The water seems to be going down some sort of channel. There seems to be some sort of reservoir. And in the 1900s, you can see that the map now has the buildings shaded. The same water arrangement is still present. By 1920, they seem to have decided to rebuild the buildings, or the map was wrong and they've reorientated them, which seems more likely. They are a bit odd to start with. But the dam and watercourse seems to have gone out of use or been altered to some other way of doing. In the 1930s, we see that one of the buildings possibly has fallen out of use. The watercourse remains as it was before on the previous map. None of these maps says what is actually going on there, whether it's still a coal pit or whether it's now doing something else.
Once the battery had run out on the camera, I found this milk bottle in the brook, in the Shibden brook, in the Beck. It's, as you can see, it's quite small, and it says on it,
Bradford Model Milk Co. Limited, Bradford.
So sometimes UHT milk, ultra heat treated milk, is known as model milk. My mum calls it model milk. Actually, I call it model milk. And my mum had never heard of that dairy, and that's apparently why we call it that. So it's one of those things in history where something has become named after something, and then it's become it means something else more than what it meant before. So it doesn't matter who makes the UHT, it's now just model milk. Although this one I think contained normal milk, and I suspect this is a part of a long-running tradition, if you want to call it that, although probably not really, for just tossing away your rubbish. It was full of mud, so it obviously been in the bank. I think it's been buried and then it's come back out, and I suspect this is from picnicking, because in the early 1800s and throughout into the 1930s and probably beyond, people did go picnicking down there. Books were written about walks, which did include Shibden. As you can tell, Abby is absolutely thrilled with this particular subject. I just saw the reflection of the water on the trees. I know it's not exactly historic or whatever, but why not?